Hello, everyone. Hope everyone had a great weekend. The stock market certainly did on the backs of a potential Greece deal. Who knows what's going to happen really with that situation? The bottom line is I really don't care. The market, it's all I care about. And what it did today was a good confirmation that we want to continue with the uptrend. The NASDAQ has retaken the 50-day moving average. Volume was well below average, but it was heavier than the day before. And something to think about, the TSV is already trending higher. MACD is still getting to oversold, so we're nowhere near overbought. So if we start to rally off these levels, awesome. And even more importantly, RSI and stochastics are very oversold. And even better, stochastics is starting to hook up a little bit. So the little hookup finally started today. We're very oversold on the stochastics. The NASDAQ is already back above its 50-day moving average. So I don't see how any of that is bad. But we'll see. Maybe it is eventually. But for now, back to neutral in the NASDAQ. The Russell 2000 is retaking its 50-day moving average. As you can see, MACD still trying to get oversold, while TSV is showing some bullish divergence, moving higher. Stochastics is very oversold. RSI is very oversold. RSI is already hooking up. Stochastics has that slight turn here at the bottom that indicates it might want to start hooking higher. And all that coming with the Russell 2000 above the 50-day moving average. Once again, don't see how that's a bad thing. So the Russell 2000 is back under a neutral condition clearly. S&P 500, similar situation. It has not retaken its 50, or maybe it did, I don't know. Nah, it's right below it, or right at it. Who cares? It's all splitting hairs. But the S&P 500 basically broke above this recent resistance, 7.1. 7.7 resistance, 7.10 resistance, boom, broke out above it. Volume was slightly higher than the session before, and another good thing, TSV, we got positive divergence showing here while price was hitting new lows. MAC still oversold. Stochastics, you can see, starting to hook higher while RSI is doing the same from oversold areas. Not completely oversold on the RSI, but at least it's below the midline, so let's put it that way. More importantly, stochastic. That's what I care the most about. So the S&P 500 is back under a neutral condition. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also is back under a neutral condition, breaking above those recent resistance levels. Similar situation you see everywhere. The only index that remains under a sell signal, Dow Jones Transportation Average. At minimum, it's going to have to get back above the 50-day moving average, but even if it gets back above the 50-day moving average, it won't be until it takes out this June resistance that this thing even considers switching from sell to neutral. But overall, market looks good. Nothing to complain about. Intraday, DRV hit my final sell stop. My final sell stop was right below the 2440 level. As you can see, intraday, unfortunately, it went slightly below it before rebounding. But overall, TSV, MACD, stochastics, and RSI don't point to a good short-term potential for upside price movement for DRV, so I don't mind being all out of it. But DRV is still holding. But if you're still long on an end-of-day basis, I would now go ahead and make 2430 my new low a day, and let's see if that can hold and if the market decides to sell off. Also, TEX hit my full sell stop. When I initially went long, this trade setup, I believe it was right here. I'd have to sell stop here and half below this low a day, half below this low a day. But following the long signal, it broke out immediately. And since it made new highs, it meant that this became the final and only support that I cared about, 3907. It shouldn't break it, especially right after we broke out. And immediately 2 days later, we broke down below it. So TEX is a full sell. Also, BIS, after going long, fortunately for us, we got a great fill. Thanks to a great fill and quite a large position, it wasn't going to cost us much if we were wrong on the first half of our position with the move below 2764. And unfortunately today the stock moved below 2764, so we have to cut it. So obviously half our sell stops hit. The final sell stop remains the ultimate low back here, 2653. I will give it all the way back to 2653. You could split it up to 2653 and 2693 if you really want to, but me, I'm going to go ahead and ride it out and see what happens, even though based on two new long signals tonight, biotechs look good. NBIX is not a biotech stock. It is a drug stock. INCY, though, is a biotech stock. But both stocks are perfect speculator scan qualifiers. NBIX was also confirmed in my new high scan. So NBIX is a new long signal. producing my perfect speculator scan. Just barely made it because you got to be over $50 to make that scan, and clearly today with it where it closed, it makes the scan. So pocket pivot point signal, breakout to new highs. It's in my new 52-week high scan on at least average volume. So it looks good here. It's a bit risky, so no matter what, half of my sell stop is going to be below today's low a day. And since I'm doing that, the other half of my sell stop is all the way back to 45.01, the low and the support. If you don't want to do that, then I recommend one single sell stop below 46.82. That way you can give yourself a little leeway to today's price action before you're knocked out of the position. But half below today's low a day for me, and then half all the way back here to this low a day of 629. Then INCY, a biotech stock, another biotech winner. This stock is giving a long signal as it breaks out to new highs. It was confirmed. It was first off picked up in my perfect speculator scan. How many stocks make up that scan right now, by the way? 61. So only 61 out of 10,000 stocks that Telechart can track for me makes this scan, and INCY is one of them. So it's breaking out to new highs, confirmed in my high price stock scan. That is stocks that are above $100 a share that average 500,000 shares daily. So INCY is one of those. And it was also in my new highs, hitting new 52-week highs on at least average volume scan. So double confirmation, perfect speculator scan stock. So NBIX and INCY, 2.5% in each because we're still under neutral signal. Also, WSBF is breaking out to a new high. This is a CanSlim quality stock that was confirmed in my Max Green BOP for at least 5-day scan. And also, it's a buyback. So I was long the stock back here. I got shaken out immediately day one. Everything was knocked out. And I think on an end-of-day closing basis, it was this day right here that knocked it out for everybody. It might have been this day. I think it was this day because my final cut loss due to the market, I think, was the low of day, 13.15. So immediately it was an end-of-day sell signal. However, it's kept Max Green BOP the entire time. It's held the 50-day moving average. And now it's actually breaking above the close of my single day, 13.25, and actually touching the high day, which was 13.29. If it would have closed at 13.30, it would have even been better. But better entry here at 13.29. So WSBF, 2.5%. Would have been 2% if more risk was involved. But if we're completely wrong, at most we risk about 2%. So 2.5% long signal WSBF. Also SPSC, CanSlim scan. It was confirmed in my price volume BOP scan, or else it would not have been taken. So I flagged it in the CanSlim scan thanks to the BOP surge, as you can see on the bottom, and the volume surge. But it also showed my price volume BOP scan, which made it a go. Now, at first, I wasn't thinking about really getting long this stock because BOP didn't really surge today to a brand new high green BOP level, above these tops here. But when I went back and looked at a longer-term chart back out to 2011, this is a gigantic cup with an extremely long handle base, extremely big base, and based on what I see here, it looks coiled as can be for a breakout higher. So long-term and short-term, it's a good-looking chart. So definitely going to go long, 2.5%. Also, speculative long position, QTS, pocket pivot point signal. This stock was in my, let's see, it was only in one. No, it was in two scans. It was in my, that's why it's a long. It was in my Max Green BOP for at least 5-day scan, and then it was confirmed in the Green BOP for at least 20-day scan. So QTS with the pocket pivot point signal is a speculative long signal. If you go back to its IPO, you can see it is also part of a long uptrend. So some good-looking charts tonight, without a doubt. And then today we also have sell that I didn't go over earlier that I wanted to save to the end. ANAC is gapped up and rallied throughout the session on absolutely huge volume. If you go back, this is the biggest volume in the stock since the uptrend started in 2013. So with that being the case, that looks quite parabolic if you ask me. It's well outside of the upper channel trend line. So I'm selling 25% at the opening bell tomorrow. Hopefully it gaps up a little bit above 135. That would be incredible. And then whatever I have after that 25% sell of my position that I have right now, I'm taking the remaining shares, and 50% of the sell stop, I'm moving it up to 112.67, today's low a day, and I'm moving the final sell stop to 70.50, the pocket pivot point signal before this gap up. So ANAC is stellar, but we got to start taking profits. Also intraday, OHRP, one we said to watch in the morning. It did exactly what we wanted it to.